Here come the Tigers. LSU getting a huge win last night in the Swamp, 45-35 over the Gators. LSU did a lot of things that we hadn't seen them do previously. If you watch our preview show, 1, thank you. 2, you know that we told you, hey, for this game, you can pack light. Common sense, leave it at home. Logic, don't need to pack that. Reason, forget about it. This game, all bets are off. And for LSU, they made I don't know if statement's the right word, but they made a huge step forward in the process and the progress in year one under Brian Kelly. The first thing that I was looking at from LSU, guess what? The offense didn't start slow. The defense started slow a number of times and kind of played slow a lot of the game. We'll get to that in a minute. But the offense, how often have we sat up here and said on a Sunday morning, LSU, what's good, y'all? Why are you spotting teams 2 scores, 17 points, 20 points? You can't do that. Your offense isn't good enough to be able to just continue to fight back. And they did fight back in multiple games. Credit to LSU. I don't want to knock that. But that's not the way that you want to live. And credit to that program yesterday. They answered scores. It was a heavyweight fight for a minute there. Florida and Anthony Richardson draw first blood. Guess what? Jayden Daniels and company coming right back at you with a haymaker. Just went back and forth all game long, it felt like. Also, they ran the ball. Folks, I don't think we can overemphasize how impressive that is. They are legitimately playing musical chairs on that offensive line. They just draw a new name out of the hat every single week for who's going to start where. It is so impressive. They were able to run the ball. Josh Williams, 106 yards on the ground against a front seven from Florida. That's pretty solid. That first line at Florida, the starters that is, they're really good. They played a lot of snaps, but they are some talented ball players. And you got some true freshmen starting on that offensive line for LSU. So to run the ball the way they did in enemy territory, that was huge. That was absolutely huge. Now for Jayden Daniels, he was the catalyst. The Office is one of our favorite shows on this program. And there is a cringy scene in the dinner party episode where Michael Scott, during charades, steps up and says, my turn. Kind of this awkward clap. It's a lot. It's tough to watch. You cringe at it. But Michael Scott said, my turn. Jayden Daniels last night said, my turn. He just did. He came up and said, listen, we're going to go as I go. There's been a lot of chatter around this offense, a lot of chatter about me. We got a lot of things moving around. My turn. I'm taking over. And to have the performance he did last night, I don't think you can say enough good things about him. Because he stepped up in a way that I think LSU fans had been expecting and waiting for him to for the duration of this year. A lot of those expectations, quite frankly, weren't fair. With how much inconsistency they have on the offensive line, it's not totally fair. But he stepped up, threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for 3 touchdowns. The biggest thing for me watching Jayden Daniels last night, he unhitched the wagon. Any of you that have driven with a trailer or towed something behind you, you know when you're driving, you can't reach maximum speed with that wagon hitched behind you. You can still make progress and go forward, but you can't really open it up. It's only when you unhitch that wagon behind you, put the pedal to the metal and hit full go, that's when you start reaching top speed. That was what happened last night with Jayden Daniels pressing the football down the field. Kayshon Boutte had a night, over 100 yards receiving. How long have we been waiting to see that from LSU? Because it's never been a matter of do they have the horses on the outside. It's never been a matter of do they have guys that can make plays. It was just like, hey, 1, do we have time to get it to them? 2, Jayden Daniels, can you pull the trigger a little bit, my guy? Can you unhitch the wagon and try to get it to them? And they did that on multiple occasions last night, and you saw the result. You saw Jayden Daniels being assertive with the football, like Brian Kelly had put in his press conference. They fed their beasts. And when they fed their beasts, good things happened offensively. Scored 45 points. This LSU program now, 5-2, sounds a lot better than 4-3. And this team was at a crossroads coming into this game. I was one of the biggest questioners of this whole program and saying, well, what happens now? You had some close wins. You had some wins where you kind of were gritty and showed heart and eked it out. But what happens now that you've lost some games? Tennessee came into your house, handed it to you. What happens now? You're going to put your head in the sand and just kind of say, hey, year one, bad deal? There was none of that. There was absolutely none of that. And I tell you this, in the previous regime, you would have seen a lot of that. You did see a lot of that. Guys just kind of waving the white flag. Not last night. Could have buried their head in the sand, and they didn't. So here's how I see LSU going forward. We all know that this year, those of us that follow college football, LSU fans, those of you that really know your program, and I know a lot of you do, and we love you for that, you understand this year is a let's let it bake year. Let's kind of put it in the oven, wait for a little bit, have it formulate. We took the most transfers in college football. We have an offensive line that's makeshift. We rented a quarterback. We're going to let it bake this year. It's going to be better in years to come. Well, last night, you saw a glimpse of what this program can be. It's like when you're climbing a mountain, not to get too philosophical, but when you're climbing a mountain and you're just kind of putting one foot in front of the other, just one foot in front of the other, all the way up. But when you look up and there's a little bit of the clouds that part the way and you can kind of see the peak of that mountaintop, you get re-energized. You start to see, okay, there's a purpose behind all the things we're doing here. Brian Kelly in year one, I promise he has not made it easy for those guys in that locker room. It has been a new way of doing things. Credit to this program. They've bought into it, but it has been a process. And they got to see a glimpse of what's possible with doing things his way and what they can be going forward. It's still going to be a bake for them this year. But winning last night in the fashion that they did, they can take that on the recruiting trail. They can take that into next week. That can be a point for them where they say, hey, you saw the mountaintop for a minute there. You took a peek at that. Let's do more of that. I'm excited to see what they do the rest of the way. I'm Jody Piquel. This has been The Hard Count. Nick Brake does the real heavy lifting, but you help drive the show. We are the people show. So every single thing that you know and that you love about college football, it happens here on a daily basis. We want to involve you in the show as much as possible. We involve y'all in the show a ton on our live shows. 3 Central, 4 Eastern, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We got a live chat session popping off. Come join the party and be a part of it. It's a whole lot of fun. So until then, we're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.